He looks like the CEO shooter.
Okay.
Just released the 911 call that led to the arrest of Luigi Mangione, charged with the murder of the CEO of United Healthcare.
Also tonight, this snow will stay on the ground with frigid temperatures in the air. Record cold coming to the Midwest and the Northeast.
A break in the case of the pipe bombs placed at Democratic and Republican headquarters in Washington. 5 years later, a Virginia man is under arrest.
I work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day.
Not anymore. Strangers jumpstart the retirement of a former auto worker.
Be honest, friendly, and be polite to people.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening, I'm John Dickerson.
I'm Maurice Dubois.
It was 1 year ago today that United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was shot to death on a New York City sidewalk.
Luigi Mangione was charged with his murder, and a hearing is being held to determine what evidence will be admissible at trial.
Late today, some of that evidence was released, including the 911 call that led to Mangione's arrest in Pennsylvania.
Alice Gaynor is at the criminal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Alice?
Murder suspect Luigi Mangione sat quietly throughout the hearing, taking notes as prosecutors presented evidence, which you'll see here for the first time. Today, prosecutors released photos, including this one of more than $7,000 in cash they say was found on Luigi Mangione when he was arrested. There are new 911 calls from a McDonald's manager when Mangione was recognized in the restaurant.
I have a customer here that some other customers were suspicious of, that he looked like the CEO shooter.
Video and testimony in court detailed an array of items police say they found when they arrested Luigi Mangione at a Pennsylvania McDonald's last December. Among the items were bus tickets to Pittsburgh found in his pockets using a false name, and a folded checklist that read in part, Best Buy, USBs, digital cam, water bottles, and trash bag. Body cam video played in the courtroom showed Mangione suggesting to a police officer that he did not want to speak minutes before his arrest. Mangione told officers he was only in the restaurant to use the Wi-Fi. The defense argued that statements he made to law enforcement should not be allowed because he had not been read his rights. Today's hearing comes exactly 1 year after United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was shot multiple times from behind in the early morning hours outside a New York City hotel. An intense 5-day manhunt followed that tracked surveillance video through the streets of New York and eventually led cops to Altoona, 2 hours from Pittsburgh, where customers at a McDonald's recognized the alleged shooter. Officers questioned Mangione for more than 20 minutes before they told him he had the right to remain silent. The defense made a case that without a warrant, everything found in Mangione's bag, including what prosecutors allege was the murder weapon, a 9mm with a silencer, should be excluded from trial. These pretrial hearings continue tomorrow. Worth reminding you he's facing federal charges, and if convicted in the federal case, it could result in the death penalty. Maurice, John?
Alice Gaynor from Manhattan, thank you.
We turn now to the Earth and the mercury, because in much of our part of the Earth, the mercury is dropping, and rapidly.
Yes, winter is knocking at the door, and if you open it, better be dressed warmly. It is dangerously cold in the Midwest and the Northeast. Lana Zach is in Iowa.
An early season Arctic blast sent shivers through the Midwest and Northeast as temperatures tumbled far below normal. What's it feel like outside?
It's quite cold.
Bitter cold caused fog to rise off the waters of Lake Superior in Duluth, Minnesota.
I'm cold. I'm literally cold.
While temperatures in the Windy City dropped to a balmy 7 degrees. And in the Big Apple, people bundled up before going out. Across the plains, temperatures plummeted to record lows, negative 18 degrees in Aberdeen, South Dakota, and minus 10 in Sioux City, Iowa, breaking a century-old record.
I just sleep in the driver's seat, and Frankie sleeps usually right on my lap.
Jimmy Tagg lives in his car in Iowa City, where temperatures fell to the single digits.
After you.
Oh, thank you.
He relies on the local community center and his pup to stay warm.
What is it like for you to live in your car in the wintertime?
It's rough. You do everything you can, and you try to prepare and stay positive, and pray a lot.
Weather this cold this early has many people concerned about those rising heating costs as well. One local nonprofit leader I spoke with says she has a list of 700 families that are already struggling to pay their utility bills.
Lana Zach in Iowa. Thank you, Lana.
Lonnie Quinn is on the roof of the CBS Broadcast Center here in New York.
But the mercury is about to head into the basement. Lonnie, what do you know?
That's pretty, the roof to the basement. John, you're writing your own material now? This is good stuff here. All right, weather-wise, we are going to get real cold even here in New York City. Now today, you take a look at the city behind me. We maxed out at 41 degrees. That's cold for us. I mean, the average is about 48 degrees, but it's not outrageous. Tomorrow, you could be dealing with some outrageously cold temperatures and wind chills in New York City. Take a look at the numbers. This Arctic air mass moves in New York City. So far this season, our coldest reading has been 31 in the city itself. Tomorrow, New York City is 19. The wind chill makes it feel like 13. Look at Bangor, Maine. 1 degree, feeling like 11 below zero. Nobody on this map, with the exception of maybe Washington, D.C., gets above the freezing mark. D.C., you will hit 34 degrees, so you're just barely above it. Now, there's a nice wind gust right there. But D.C. is also under a winter weather advisory, perhaps anywhere from a trace to maybe up to an inch of snow in the nation's capital. Virginia, maybe 2 to 4 inches of snow. If you look at the system right now in the radar picture, all right, it's going to be pushing to the east, and really it's the morning hours that are the messiest with the rain snow line setting up somewhere around the Virginia, North Carolina border. It's rain south, snow north. It then pushes into the ocean. And really by the time you get to the weekend, everybody I just talked about, it's still cold, but you may be 5 to 10 degrees milder for the weekend. Guys, it's all yours.
Lonnie Quinn, who I'm going to give an overcoat for tomorrow.
I'm not dressed properly myself.
Largely overshadowed by the January 6th attack on the Capitol is what happened nearby the night before. Someone placed pipe bombs outside the headquarters of the Republican and Democratic parties. Tonight, nearly 5 years later, a suspect is in custody. But what the motive might have been remains a mystery and the subject of speculation. Here is Justice correspondent Scott McFarland.
FBI agents and police filled the cul-de-sac in Woodbridge, Virginia, 45 minutes south of Washington, D.C. today, making an arrest they've been pursuing for nearly 5 years. 30-year-old Brian Cole. They say Cole's the man seen in surveillance video who placed potentially deadly pipe bombs near the Capitol on January 5, 2021, the night before the historic January 6th attack by Trump supporters on the Capitol.
The alleged pipe bomber did terrorize our community. Today's actions underscore the long memory and the long reach of the FBI and our partners.
An FBI affidavit alleges purchase records show Cole bought components of the bombs, batteries, steel wool, and a kitchen-style timer in 2019 and 2020. And Department of Justice court filings say forensic evidence shows Cole's cell phone was in the Capitol Hill area at the time the bombs were placed, and that he was in the same neighborhood 24 miles from home just weeks earlier. Despite a $500,000 reward and years of soliciting tips, the Department of Justice said there was no new break in the case, just a break by a closer look at old evidence.
Let me be clear. There was no new tip. There was no new witness. Just good, diligent police work.
In 2021, law enforcement officials said the bombs were discovered at about 12:45 p.m. January 6th, which diverted and distracted officers just as the riotous mob was attacking the Capitol, giving the Trump supporters a wider opening to enter the grounds.
Cole faces 2 federal criminal charges for unlawful explosives, but prosecutors wouldn't answer questions about what his motive was or if any of this had any connection to the January 6th Capitol siege.
Justice correspondent Scott McFarland, thank you.
On Capitol Hill today, members of Congress watched video of that controversial second military strike on a suspected drug boat near Venezuela.
Lawmakers are scrutinizing the role of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth in the attack, which was ordered by a Navy admiral. Charlie D'Agata has the update.
Admiral Mitch Bradley arrived at the Capitol this morning and told lawmakers behind closed doors there was no order to kill them all from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, as reported by the Washington Post. Lawmakers were shown both the video of the first strike on the suspected drug smuggling boat and a second, which has not been released to the public, that killed 2 shipwreck survivors. Democratic Congressman Jim Hines said that violated the Defense Department's rules of engagement.
What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service. You have 2 individuals in clear distress, without any means of locomotion, with a destroyed vessel, who were killed by the United States.
Republican Senator Tom Cotton saw something else.
I saw 2 survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs down for the United States, back over, so they could stay in the fight.
Senator Chris Coons revealed the boat was hit 2 more times.
In a second strike, they were killed, and in a third and fourth strike, the boat was sunk.
A decorated former Navy SEAL, Bradley made the call to hit the alleged drug boat with multiple strikes.
And by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat.
Hegseth himself came under fire today with the release of an Inspector General's report saying he put service members at risk last spring as they were about to launch airstrikes against Houthi militants in Yemen. The report stated Hegseth shared sensitive information of the military operation over an unapproved, unsecure network on his personal device, strictly prohibited by the Department of Defense.
Democrats who viewed the video of the missile strikes on the alleged drug boat today called for Admiral Bradley to testify in an open hearing. No word from the Pentagon whether that will happen or whether it will release the tape to the public.
Okay, Charlie D'Agata in D.C. tonight. Thanks.
Now, more of the top stories from around the world in tonight's Evening News Roundup. The American Cancer Society released updated guidelines today for cervical cancer screening. Among the changes, women at average risk now have the option to test for HPV at home using an FDA-approved self-swab test.
A victory for Republicans today at the Supreme Court. The conservative majority court ruled that Texas can use its newly drawn congressional map in next year's midterm elections. President Trump pushed Texas to revise its map, hoping it'll help Republicans secure 5 additional seats in the House, where they currently hold a narrow majority.
And a bar owner in New Zealand is sharing video of a baby seal that recently visited her business. At first, she thought it was a dog. The seal hid in the restroom until it was lured out by slices of salmon. Then it was safely returned to the wild.
Coming up on the CBS Evening News, we'll take you inside a training facility in Ukraine to show you how drones are changing the way war is fought.
Also tonight, Eye on America.
I'm Jim Axelrod in Clarksville, Georgia, with one of the 13 remaining survivors of the Pearl Harbor attack. The race to preserve their legacy. Up next on Eye on America.
And when a retired auto worker lost his pension, he had to go back to work until strangers came to his rescue.
Russia's Vladimir Putin slammed the brakes on the peace process today, demanding that Ukraine pull its troops out of the Donbas region in eastern Ukraine.
Russia controls about 85% of Donbas. Putin wants all of it. Ukraine, meanwhile, is refusing to surrender any territory.
Holly Williams continues her reporting from Ukraine now with a look at one of the world's largest and most effective drone fleets.
On the front line here in Ukraine, drones are revolutionizing warfare. Ukraine's military showed us their training facility for drone operators, the Kill House Academy. They told us they're in an arms race with Russia.
If they have some good idea, we steal it. If we have some good idea, they steal it.
DC says he doesn't know how many Russians he's killed. Now he's training others for the combat zone.
It's the future.
Already it's a reality. You have to become unmanned, because if you use manpower, it will only get you so far.
Drones are a way of leveling the battlefield for the outnumbered Ukrainians. A weapon that costs hundreds of dollars to make can take out equipment worth millions. By some estimates, drones account for 80% of military casualties here. Beginning with more rudimentary versions at the start of the war,
boom.
Now Ukraine's thought to produce millions of them a year. It's even been called a drone superpower. The technology's so advanced, both sides are using drones to hunt down individual soldiers. The Ukrainians are also using sea drones and these ground drones that lay mines.
It is developed and invented in Ukraine.
With the ground models, Vladimir told us, the Ukrainians have an advantage.
They're trying to do similar things, but as for now, we are ahead.
You're ahead.
Ahead of them.
We've heard from the U.S. military that they're watching the front line here closely and learning from the Ukrainians.
Holly Williams in Kyiv tonight. Thanks so much.
Up next, the living history.
You'll hear from a survivor of one of the darkest days in American history next.
We are coming up on another December 7th, the date in 1941 that the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. The date lives in infamy and in the memories of the few remaining survivors. Jim Axelrod had the honor of speaking to one of them for tonight's Eye on America.
For nearly 84 years, this is the way most Americans have experienced the attack on Pearl Harbor.
American Defense Medal.
But not retired Army Captain Ken Schubring.
84 years later, how sharp are these memories?
Very sharp. Something like that you can't forget.
He was there.
And you knew they weren't American planes.
I knew they were I-1899s, and they had a red circle underneath the wing and a red circle on the fuselage, and that was Japanese.
Now 103 and going strong. Captain Schubring is one of 13 American veterans of Pearl Harbor still alive.
Do you ever worry that December 7th is in danger of becoming just another day on the calendar?
Yes. If that's going to happen, it's going to happen over, I don't want to say my dead body, but might be.
Lest we forget is our motto.
Betsy Crossley and Ken Schubring Jr. revere their father.
Tell me who your dad is.
My hero?
He's my rock.
They revere his service from the first day of World War II to the last, on a bombing run when he got word of Japan's surrender. And they revere the way he returned to his home in the turbulent post-war South, pushing to integrate the schools in Athens, Georgia, as school board president.
I remember getting called a lot of bad things, but my dad never wavered.
Did you get some pushback?
People will probably never speak to me again for the rest of their life.
You may have had the last laugh on that one.
Yeah, I probably did.
Ken's kids work with the sons and daughters of Pearl Harbor survivors to make sure the story of the attack will get told even after the last of the survivors are gone.
What is it you don't want people to forget?
The sacrifice.
Absolutely.
I mean, the sacrifice that was given that day and then subsequently years later. I mean, you can't put a price on that, and you can't forget it.
You can't forget it. 4 apt words as we mark this day that still lives in infamy, along with 2 more for all who were there. Thank you. For Eye on America, I'm Jim Axelrod in Clarksville, Georgia.
The sacrifice. We'll be right back.
We end tonight in the spirit of the season of giving.
Tom Hansen reports a former auto worker was given back his retirement through the kindness of strangers.
For most of his life, Ed Bambus worked toward his American dream. But in 2019, at 82, he found himself doing what most retirees never imagined, going back to work.
You do what you have to do.
Bambus worked for General Motors for 40 years. The automaker's 2009 bankruptcy wiped out his pension. Then his wife got sick and died. With bills mounting, he took a job at a grocery store.
I made it a point to try and be as friendly with people as I could, because that would take my mind off any depression because of my wife's death. I really, to this day, miss her. I still visit her grave every day.
Everything changed this week when a stranger approached Bambus with a simple question.
What's your dream? To live somewhat the life I was hoping for.
That stranger was influencer Sam Wiedenhofer. He set up a crowdfunding account to help finance Bambus's next retirement.
Do you know how much money has been raised?
No, sir, I do not.
Tomorrow, Bambus will get a check for more than $1 million.
What's the lesson you've learned from the events that have unfolded over the last few days?
Be polite to people.
Small actions with a very big return.
Oh, thank you.
Tom Hansen, CBS News, New York.
Happy retirement, sir. Wow.
God bless him.
That is the CBS Evening News. I'm Maurice Dubois.
I'm John Dickerson, and keeping with the spirit of the season, we leave you with the President and the First Lady presiding over the lighting of the National Christmas tree.
Have a good night.